Alright guys, time for another general instructive game. Got a player rated just over 1,000 I think, 1,029 in rapid, and this is a 20-minute game. So, we'll go something standard. Knight f3, okay, we have the Petrov. And I don't want to get into Stafford territory, so I'm not going to capture the pawn, I'm going to just develop my other knight. Maybe we'll get a 4 knights. And if we do, we might find ourselves with a Halloween Gambit. Should we go for Halloween? Of course, this is not standard principled play by white. The idea of this, if knight takes, you play d4, kicking the knight. Knight has to retreat, and then you've got these nice 2 central pawns, and you can continue to harass these knights. That's about as far as I've got. There we go. So we have knight takes, and now d4. So the idea is, but here by gambiting a whole piece, we're looking for a significant increase in development. So if the knight goes here, I think the move is, okay, so the move is now e5, hitting the other knight. So we're going to win a lot of tempi, potentially here. Knight can't go there or there because of my knight. Can't go there because of the queen. Can't go there because of the queen. So that knight, I think, is going to end up back on g8. And then the question is, do we have sufficient compensation? I've got bishop d3 is nice. Could play queen e7 trying to pin this pawn, but then I can play my queen to e2. And the knight is still there. You can see the same kind of pattern happens in the Vienna Gambit as well. This knight actually ending up with nowhere to go. That's after, yeah. So that's after black's e-pawn takes your advanced f-pawn on f4, and then you've got a pawn here and then you push, and it's the same kind of situation. Okay, my opponent is from Sweden by the look of it. Hello to everyone in Sweden. So I'm having a good think. Definitely going to move the knight. So what do I have to do now? I have to develop. I have to start putting together an attack before my opponent can castle and complete development. That is the absolute key. I've gambited a knight for a pawn at this point in time. So I have to strike. I have to come flying out of the blocks. That's the key thing. If I now play conservatively and allow my opponent the time to complete development at their own pace, then I'm going to be weaker because the material balance is in black's favour now. Okay, so I'm not going to think too hard. I'm going to develop my bishop to c4. We're targeting this. I have no knight. My f-knight is now no more, so I can quite happily play queen f3, can threaten mate on there. Okay, so now black's development, you can see, consists of one move. And I have 1, 2, 3. So I've got 2 advanced pawns, 2 minor pieces out on the board. I'm well ahead in development. So I need to maximise the advantage of my development. Black needs to find a way to maximise the advantage of their material. Okay, this is an unusual move because it's really blocking in that bishop now. So both bishops are completely blocked in and are not going to be entering the fray soon. So what I need to think now is, where am I going to castle my king? We still have 2 bishops on the board. Those bishops have not moved and they're not about to move. I have this dark squared little pawn chain in the centre, which is great. I actually also have a tactical idea, knight d5 here, because I'm threatening both the queen and c7, and the only way I think for black to defend that is to drop the queen all the way back. So that looks really aggressive now, threatening both the queen and that, because the queen can't come here because of my pawn. So that's out of the question. The queen's going to have to drop back to d8. Crazy. So now I've put my knight in the centre. That's these 4 absolute central squares. Just improved that knight now. This knight can't come out to f6, can only go here, where it could even be sniped by my dark squared bishop. Probably want to play c3 at some point. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's had to go back. So now what do we do? Do we castle now? Do I push this pawn and give my queen more options? What do we do? What's the right thing to do now? Do I try and apply more pressure to that pawn? Don't really see a convenient way to do that. I've got maybe queen here, okay, threatening if this knight moves, so then I can check there. That's a thought. Let's bring queenie out. If I bring queen out here, am I worried about this? Not really, I maybe just push the queen forward. Nah. Well, then I can push the queen to the side, or queen here. Think about that. Queen there, knight here, queen h5. Again attacking this. Might prompt a pawn push, which is certainly going to be weakening. So the queen ends up here, with the knight on here. Push the g-pawn. I don't think I come out particularly strong there, but I don't want to let up on my opponent. I don't want to relieve the pressure in any way. So, think this through. Queen there. Threatening mate. Oh, if knight comes here, it's... Okay, so, right, queen there, knight comes here, then knight moves with check. And queen can't take because it's mate. The king would have to move. Okay, so if my queen's on here, that knight's there, I check, king moves, bishop there, attacking both king and knight. Let's do it. Wow! That was instant. Okay, so if takes, queen can't take, because queen's got to guard c7, okay? So if takes, we've got pawn takes, that's horrible for black. If knight takes, maybe I can take with the knight. Okay, let's go for it. I should also think about castling as well. Alright, okay, so pawn's taken. That's just gross now for black, isn't it? I can check with the queen, is one option. Then black can block with 2 knights or a bishop. Doesn't really get me anywhere. Okay, what's undefended? Let's check. It's defending that. Queen's defending them. Yes, yes. Everything's actually defended on black's side now. So, if castles, then thinking about rook on here, again, black has options for blocking. This queen's horrible, that bishop's horrible. I'd like to bring my dark square bishop into the game. Still a piece for a pawn down. So what's the evilest, what's the most pressuring, forcing way to play from here? And I've thought about maybe putting my queen on this diagonal and then threatening that again. What would happen in that case? Probably d6. Okay, that then releases this bishop. So I don't want to give black an excuse to develop. Where do I want to put my rooks? I want to put my rooks in the middle, so I'm thinking castling long now would achieve that maybe slightly quicker. So I'm feeling now like I do want to release this dark squared bishop. The question is where to put him. If I put it here, or potentially knight takes, but that's not too bad. Okay, let's see about that. So the objective here is speed. So I want to get my rooks onto the D&E file, really take advantage of this king. There's no decent checks. I mean, you've got bishop there, but then c3. Knight takes is a possibility. But again, look, this is black's only developed piece. So really what I'm working on at the moment is in my reading of the game. So the game is like a book, you know, you open it, you start at the beginning, you read through to the end. And the story evolves or devolves throughout the game. And so what I'm working on now is, okay, when the board looks like this, what is the right kind of approach? Okay, that's interesting. But if takes, it's got pawn takes, double isolated pawns in the middle of the board. I'm just going to do it. This is hideous now. Okay, castle long. Okay, then rook here. I could play rook there first. So black's got 1, 2, 3 pieces that can block e7. 2 pieces defending that pawn. Just a pawn defending that knight. So this is really kind of an exercise on how to gain an advantage or how to win with less material. And this is the key thing, that there are many imbalances in chess, right? And like I'm saying a lot at the moment, you've got to see which imbalances are tipping in your favour, which imbalances are tipping in your opponent's favour, and you want to minimise the impact of the negative imbalances and maximise the impact of the positive ones. So right now, positive imbalances in my favour as white, I've completed development. I have castled my king, obviously. My rooks are connected, I've got one centralised rook. I've got far improved control of the board, okay, because of the fact that I've got 3 pieces out, whereas black only has the 1 piece out. Also, in my favour, black's pawns are utterly fragmented. He's already got 4 pawn islands before even completing development. We're still in the opening, technically. Okay, black still has a centralised king, so rook h2 e1 is imminent. I've also got potentially queen here, that would pin the knight. Doesn't really improve the scope of my queen, but it does just constrain my opponent to a degree. The Halloween Gambit, guys, really is an interesting approach. Let's just go back to this 4 knights. Okay, anytime you see this 4 knight situation, it's got to be tempting. Grabbing the pawn takes, and just look at this development that we get there. And that I think that was an error. I mean, I'm not afraid to swap off material when it comes with such a positional disadvantage for my opponent. Okay, castles, and that's where we are now. And black is struggling. Okay, bring on the goldfish. Queen's defending that pawn, queen's defending that pawn, nothing's defending that. Defends, defends, defends. Okay, so in 2 seconds, what we've seen is there's 1 undefended piece here. That's defended twice. Okay. So the queen is now attacking this knight, which is defended twice. So that's not really the object. The real object has to be a2, but that's actually defended by my bishop as well. So what is the purpose of this move? I'm thinking rook e1 check now has to be played, simply. Oh, that king moved fast. Okay, now knight takes, and if knight takes, I've got queen takes. Wow. Right. I don't really want to trade knights. I've got a very nicely developed knight in the middle of the board. Why do I want to trade it for one that hasn't even bothered to participate so far? Okay, let's check. I think the king's going to move back to d8. If it's got any sense. So now what am I controlling? All of that file. I've got queen here potentially. It's queen there, queen there. But the knight's actually defending the rook. Rook's defending that. That's defending that. Okay. So I really want to grab that pawn, don't I? Now what's the most forcing way to do that? It's made life very, very bad for that rook. I mean, both rooks are still in the box. Knight's defended. A2's defended. These are defended. Obviously the rooks are happy and snug. That's undefended. And that's defended by rooks. So I've got one undefended pawn. But still, it's Operation Squeeze the breath out of black right now. I'm only one pawn down now because I've actually captured 3 pawns, given up 1 in return for my knight. It's still a very, very unpleasant situation. Might have ideas of maybe putting my queen here, move that pawn and attack that rook. It's kind of nice. Rook e8. Pins the bishop, but the bishop's already stuck. How can I attack this? Can't go there. I mean, queen g3, it does it, but it's looking crude. But how can black defend that pawn if I do? Queen can't go here because the bishop, can't go there because of the knight, can't go there because of the pawn, can't go there because of the knight, and can't go there because of the pawn. Okay, I'm just going to try it. You know, sometimes the right approach is the simple one. I've seen in lessons some students really, really overthink the situation. Yeah, you have to be utterly clinical and pragmatic about your assessment of your options. And sometimes the one that's right under your nose, the obvious, crude, simple approach is the best one. Sometimes it's just a case of, if I stack all of my, my major pieces, both rooks and my queen, on one open file, I can win by force. And that's the right thing to do. So we have to be completely pragmatic in chess. Neither of these knights can defend that pawn because they're both on light squares now. So wherever they move now, they're going to move on to a dark square. And from a dark square, knights can only see light-coloured squares. The pawn is on a dark square, so the knights cannot defend with one move. These rooks can't defend anything. And as we've seen, the queen has no option. Therefore, actually, queen takes d6 is potentially checkmate, because if the queen blocks, my knight's already looking at that. Queen takes queen, boom. I have to feel sorry for my 1,000 rated opponent. This is not an enjoyable recreational game of chess. He's getting his ass kicked. But that's the point of the game. Anyway, it's a great lesson in the Halloween Gambit. You've got to love this one. What on earth is he going to do? How can he prevent mate in 2? I don't know. I honestly don't know. You see, that is as soon as that happened, that was the first move I saw. And then I went, that's a bit kind of, I'm telegraphing it, right? It's obvious, too obvious. It can't be that obvious. When I was a kid growing up at school, in my school there weren't that many pupils, so we had one very small class. So I ended up actually getting moved. I was actually 2 years ahead of my age at one point. And this is a weird time because I was like 8, 9, and I was in a class of 10, 11-year-olds. Okay. Oh, right, so he's given his king an escape square. That's well done. You found the only option there. Okay, now I could force an exchange of queens if I wish. However, is that the right thing to do? Anyway, back to the story. So, yeah, I was ahead a couple of years at school for a year, and I found myself overthinking everything. I remember actually, even as a smaller kid in primary school, I used to come up with the most obscure spellings for things because I just had this idea that that the world was complicated and the right answer to something is surely complicated. So I used to spell things really weird, add in extra H's because it seemed right. But very often the reality was just that the answer was simple, and the same thing happens very, very often in chess. Okay, so anyway, I have one or two students who really overthink. Now, one huge mistake right now would be to try and lift this rook too early while the queen is looking at that fella, because if I move my rook to here, queen takes e1 is checkmate, and we do not want that, do we? So I'm half inclined to push c3 and just kind of try and negate that. But there must be some kind of good attack here. I mean, knight c7 hitting the rook looks kind of all right. But if I do that, rook's going to go to b8, and then what have I got? That knight isn't really any more threatening where it is. So I'd like to be able to play my queen in there. But can I do something to... Should I lift this rook, maybe? Okay. Right, let's think about this. Let's say I put my rook here or here, okay? Now, where would this queen be able to go? Queen can't go there, can't go there, can't go there, can't go there because of this rook, right? Can't go there, can't go there, can't go there. Can't go there. Can't go there. So, if I get a rook onto here, queen's got that, but and that still guards that square. So rook here, rook there. I'm going to lift the rook for the hell of it. I think it's safe and I need to make a move. Okay, that's developing the knight, but it's long way away from causing any grief. If I put my queen there, I've got a fork on both, but that's not my concern right now. I still have the option to force the exchange of queens. Pawn here. The queen there, queen takes, pawn takes. What am I missing here? There's got to be something. So rook here, okay. Can't go there, knight, there, pawn, rook, rook, knight, queen has to go there. Then I have a check. And then we might have some possibilities. King here, check there would force exchange. No, I'd lose my knight that way. See, an IM now would just see the win. Very interesting. You're counter-attacking. Huh? Right, that knight's undefended now, where it is. That rook's undefended. So, is there some kind of... So if I take, let's say, I take this knight now. He takes my queen, I take his queen, I've won a knight. Huh. If he doesn't take my queen and simply runs away with his queen, I've still won a knight. There's only one check, which is that king or rook can take. So if you take my queen now, I take your queen, I'm actually up 3 points. I'm up 3 pawns actually. And look at where black's pawns are, right? 3 pawn islands, loads of space. White's pawns, 2 pawn islands. Okay, you've taken the queen. You took the queen! I have to say, what were you thinking? Because at this point, right? This point now, you're down 3 pawns, okay? When we are down in material, significantly, trading off, making equal trades, benefits the player who is up in material. Okay? Simple as that. So now what? You're attacking that, doesn't matter, defended. Bishop's undefended, rook's undefended, but it's still all white now. Yeah, you've got one rook that can now enter the game. This bishop is still stuck behind the B and D pawns. That's why we moved 2 pawns in the opening. But you know, to be fair, I played that gambit line, and you know the point of the gambit line is that I want to take away all my opponent's options and keep him moving his knights back and not have time to develop, and that's exactly what's happened. So we've played a decent gambit in this game. Oh, he's moved. Why is my clock ticking? Oh, right, okay. Okay, I've got 2 attackers on there, but 2 defenders. I can counter-attack his rook, no good, because takes, and takes knight. Right, I'll just drop back. I'm under 5 minutes, which should be plenty of time to see the job through. Bishop there might be played. But if this bishop comes away from that diagonal, I have 2 attackers on that pawn. So if he wants to come here, I'll let him take the knight. Yeah, because then I've got check. Maybe king moves away. No, king moves there. I take the rook. He takes back. I take the bishop. I've won a pawn and swapped off 2 pieces. You see? So bishop here, I say, no worries, you know, I make a... Okay, it's bishop here, I just play a move like that. He takes that, I take the pawn, check, let's say king goes here, then I take the rook, king takes rook, bishop takes bishop, check, and we're laughing. All right, so it's kind of lining up against f2. What's not involved in the fun? And where do I want to put my knights? How about knight there attacking the rook? Yeah, rook goes here, and then I've got 3 attackers on there. Knight there, rook to here. Bishop takes. King can't go there or there. Ah, yeah, okay. He's going to play. If he plays that, yeah, I think the right move is bishop takes that. I've also got knight takes, but the idea is that so rook here, one piece takes this pawn, and then when that piece moves away, comes a discovered check. So which would be the best piece to take with? The knights. We are hopefully getting someone to pick up these 3 cockerels today. So we're going to end up with, I think we're going to have 2 left. Cockerels, roosters, schmoosters. Knight also has that square because his pawn is pinned, it can't capture, which could be interesting. Okay, my opponent's down to 5 minutes now. I'm down to 4 minutes. So we have to see it through. These 2 pieces of blacks have not moved for the entire game. That's why it's so uncomfortable for black, because black is only playing with half of his pieces. I mean, that's the obvious move. So which one is best? I'm kind of inclined to take with the knight. Just keep my opponent at arm's length a little bit. So if rook there and bishop takes, king can't go there because it'd be in check, can't go there. Could retreat, but the knight is relatively safe. But what I want to do is, you see, I want to pull away whichever piece attacks that pawn. I want to be able to remove it with a threat, and I don't know if there is a good one. Oh, wow, okay. Right, I'm having a rook, I don't care, okay. And then I'll push that to protect the pawn. Okay, still got 2 defenders on that pawn, but now I'm 5 materials up. Because, okay, I'm just going to attack the knight. Don't I casually attack the knight? Knight comes here, attacks the rook. I go there to defend the pawn. Knight comes here. I played that to defend that. But he's also undefending the pawn on g6 as well, if he does that. This bishop is tied to this diagonal right now. This is what you have to do, you know, when you play a gambit, you've got to keep your foot on their throat. You can't let them get up. Maybe an inappropriate analogy. Now he can bring his last piece into the game. Well, hey, it shouldn't be far too little, far too late. I've got 7 pawns still on the board. I like that. I'm happy about that. So I've got 3-on-1 advantage on the king side here. Okay, now do I simply simplify? Simply simplify? Simply simplify? I like the fact that this pawn's stuck there because it's in the way of the bishop face. Or do I just attack with a pawn? I think moving the pawns up the board is a jolly good idea at this point in time. And it means the knight can't attack it there. So if the knight comes here now, I can just grab the open file. You devil, you took my pawn. I take your pawn, you take my bishop, I take your knight. Fair trade, although this knight can move with check, remember. Okay, so look at this. That's what you have to get into the habit of checking. Okay, if I take that, knight comes here with check, king has to move, and I've just given up a bishop. Stupido. Knight's now attacking this. Heh. Right, if I move my bishop, this rook that's a discovered defense. So we're kind of okay. But the knight is attacking, so I have to move the bishop or I have to move this rook across. Okay, decisions, let's move. Time to move. Attack the knight, knight can't take there. 2 minutes 38. And that's a blunder, that's time pressure now. Time pressure, okay, discovered attack on the bishop. Let's pin the bishop. Now I've got bishop g2 attacking the pinned piece. Bishop g2. You can't move. You're going to have to play the rook. Not good. Has to go there or there and resigns. Okay, great example, everyone, of not just the Halloween Gambit itself, but how you have to play to secure a win with gambit lines. Okay, so gambits are not just about getting an early advantage. You've got to keep that pressure throughout the game, and that's exactly what happened here. So hope that's been interesting and useful for you, something you can take into your own games. You may not choose to play gambits. You may not enjoy that kind of approach, and that's absolutely fine if not. You may prefer more classical and positional play. Absolutely, that's up to you. Depends on your character and simply what you enjoy, because it's a game after all. But if you are into the gambit kind of mentality, then I think that was a pretty good example for you. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Chess Boot Camp if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.